Welcome to Zscaler Pulse, a monthly podcast brought to you by the Zenith community team that is aimed at empowering our audience to better understand Zscaler products, the Zenith community, and the zero trust industry. We will go over some updates around the Zenith community and some Zscaler products and services, and we'll even cover some news that's happening in the zero trust industry. Hi, I'm Ben Garrison, Technical Moderator and Knowledge Manager for the Zenith community, and we have a good show lined up for you today this month. We are joined with Rohit Goyal and Vikas Srivastava to go over some ZDX enhancements that bring AI in to help with issue isolation and make those things a lot faster for technical admins to be able to discover issues. And then we'll meet with Katie Schmidt for the first time on the show. She's with our Zscaler Academy, and she wants to, introduce herself and then also talk about how the Zscaler Academy can help with your organization getting up to speed using the Zscaler products and services. Again, now this podcast was recorded in separate sessions due to scheduling, but I think we did a pretty decent job at piecing together the sections. So of course, we'll continue to improve that. So bear with us. Appreciate it. Basically, bear with me. I'm the one recording and editing all this. So thank you for your patience and bear with me. Obviously, if you have any tips and tricks and suggestions on how to make that better, please let me know, because I'm somewhat new to the whole podcasting stuff, but we're figuring it out. We're figuring it out. But hopefully next month we'll have it down a little bit better each month as we go. Also, with the holidays quickly approaching, I'm going to try and get the next podcast out, hopefully towards the end of December. Not entirely sure exactly based off of the scheduling, but we'll do our best. If not, definitely for January. And I know we have a lot of exciting things to talk about in January as well, especially around our business analytics and even more ZDX enhancements. So stay tuned to that. So the first up that we do have our conversation with Rohit Goyal and Vikas Srivastava. So let's head over there. All right. Now we're switching gears a little bit, and we're going to go over into our product pulse. And I'm really excited because I'm always really excited if you guys haven't picked up on that. But I have some familiar faces again on the podcast. This is a couple times they've been on the show. I've got Rohit Goyal and Vikas. I'm going to slaughter it. Srivastava. Did I say it right? I always can never really say it.
Srivastava. Yeah.
Srivastava.
Yep.
And they are with our ZDX team here at Zscaler, and they were nice enough to join me, and they wanted to talk to me about AI powered enhancements to our ZDX, which is our digital experience portion of our platform. And yeah, they're both here today, and I'm really excited to learn more about this. I'm a huge proponent and fan of AI. I think when AI is used correctly, it can be an extremely powerful tool to assist admins and engineers in being able to identify and address issues a lot faster and get to that issue resolution. We all know, though, that AI can be used, anything that is for good can also be used for bad. So, this is where digital reporting and where digital experiences come in to kind of help with being able to get more telemetry on that kind of information. And I'm super happy to be joined by Rohit. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me back. We've done some amazing enhancements since the last time we were on the show. And if you hadn't got a chance, I would take, some time to go back and listen to the previous, ZDX podcast where we covered like the basics of ZDX. Today, we're going to be getting into a little bit more in depth, some key features that we've been working on. And I think these are some really nice enhancements to help, customers out with proactively resolving issues and really helping customers keep their end users productive. The challenge we always see is that apps and data have been moving to the cloud. Everyone is kind of in this mixed mode where they're either working from, their home or in the office or, maybe at their airport. But the challenge still remains with like solving issues that stem from devices. So their laptops or anything around, that side of it, or the network, which is pretty vast. It can be anything from the internet all the way up to the application, all the hops in between. up to the application. And thinking about like the service desk folks and the network operations folks, it's challenging to figure out how to resolve these issues, especially when users are moving around. They're not always so static, in one location where it's easier to troubleshoot. So
Well,
how do you figure that out? And
right. And I think a recent blog that was put out about this mentioned that like 90% of employees are frustrated by workplace technology and how it impacts their productivity, right? And so
exactly.
that kind of ties into what you were just saying as well.
Yeah. So I'm going to walk you through a quick set of slides here. It just to tell you a little bit more about, some of these enhancements. And then Vikas has, a lot more technical depth. Yeah. He's going to dive deeper into, anything that, we've seen come up as questions, from customer conversations, workshops we do.
So for the audience, and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Rohit. From the audience that's listening, we are going to publish this on traditional podcasting platforms going forward for this episode, first time ever. So if you're listening on this from a traditional podcast recording, check out the show notes. We're going to have the actual videos. So right now we're going through a couple of visual aids, a little bit of a slideshow, not too much. But then Vikas is going to actually have a technical demonstration where he'll be sharing his screen. So if you do want to see that, check the show notes so that way you can go view that piece of it. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just know it's a little bit different format than the audience is used to.
Yeah, no worries. So maybe I can just show tell you what I'm showing on the screen as well. So what we've got like a service desk analyst who's typically your L1 support, and they're featured in the center of the slide. And we've got rings around, the slide, and it basically shows devices, apps, and networks. And the challenge is that as they get tickets, they typically can triage them. But when you think about an organization that's about 10,000 in size, the number of tickets they get, it becomes unmanageable. And the reason is because they've got to solve everything from, again, they've got to solve CPU problems. They've got to solve network ISP issues. They've got to solve application issues. And the challenge is that it's really hard to figure out where the issue is. Maybe it's actually, in the application itself, or maybe it's in the network, or maybe it's in the actual device. But how do you correlate all that information? Because they've got lots of different tools existing today. And the idea is that we want to streamline all of this for them. So there's a better way to do this. There's AI capabilities that Ben was talking about. And the first one is around self-service. And with self-service, the idea is that before a ticket is even created, end users would be notified of any Wi-Fi issue or anything around, last mile ISP issues, and it gives them an idea as to how to remediate it themselves. So that's all some of the challenges with the tickets that they're seeing. The second part is proactive resolution with incident dashboard. So the idea here is that now you can see globally across your organization and say, okay, we're getting a lot of tickets around Wi-Fi, or there's a lot of incidents around Wi-Fi. Let's dive into that and see what the root cause is, so we can proactively start to solve some of these issues before they even get created. And the third part is all around AI-powered root cause analysis. So here, what we've done is we've introduced a pretty robust feature to, give to the service desk or network operations teams an easy button. And what they can do is they can, look at the dashboard for an end user, and when the score, a ZDX score, is in the 4 category, they can press a button and hit analyze score. And that'll allow them to basically say, okay, great, here's where the issue can be. Why this is powerful is because for a service desk person, they can actually say, okay, here's where, if it's an issue with an ISP, they can put that information into the ticket as they escalate it up to the network team. And they're actually skipping a lot of steps in there. Typically, what we see is that L1 teams will, try to triage the problem, but they don't have enough definitive information as to where the ticket should be routed. So the end user gets bounced around to like 3 or 4 different L3 teams. And what we're doing here is saying, hey, you have this easy button. You can actually go in and press that, and then you get routed to the right team without having to, be bounced around.
Mm.
So those are pretty much, all the slides I want to share, because I know, we've got a lot of demos and content we want to get through, but hopefully that gives you an idea as to, some of the things we're showing.
I have something that I want to say. First,
Shoot.
this is super awesome, right? But I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate here because I'm
Yeah.
a podcast host, and that's what I'm supposed to do, right? Uh, so I see here that we're taking AI, and we all know that AI can either be a good thing or a bad thing, right? And a lot of
Mm.
people who have concerns around AI is the ability to subsidize or supplement employment positions, jobs, right? So in your scenario where you have an IT person or IT help desk person that's taking and fielding in a bunch of tickets, we bring in something like AI, or we bring in something to try to assist that or bring that down. What is that from your experience? What does that mean from a cost perspective from an organization? Do you see this potentially eliminating the need for more help desk people, or does it target the help desk people to focus on different areas and more important aspects of their role?
Yeah, it's definitely the latter. The idea is to get the help desk people up to speed on technologies that are
Mhm,
really hard. Imagine, somebody in the L3 team, it'll probably take them a decade to learn all of these different areas
mhm,
and be experts in that area. And you're putting all that onus on a service desk person. The challenge though is like, hey, how can we get them up to speed faster so they can help resolve these issues? And then they feel a little more empowered, right? So
yep,
they're not just order takers, but they're actually feeling, hey, I actually found the issue, and you know what? I'm routing it to the right person. Today, what we're seeing is that they'll gather the information, but it's not easy to figure out where the actual issue is. And then it basically gets bounced around to different teams.
mhm. Not only that, but then the human factor, right?
Yeah.
What did the human miss? If they're fielding, I used to work IT help desk, and I'd have 6, 7, 8, if not more tickets open at any given time, and I'm bouncing back, bouncing back and forth. I was also, not remote. I was in an office, so I'd get what's called the quote unquote drive-bys, right? Where I'm in the middle of something and someone would walk by and say, "Hey, real quick, my printer is not doing this. Can you help me?" And I'd get torn away and have to go do something else. So the human factor of forgetting or not doing something, especially when it comes to like deprovisioning or something along those lines, right? Um, this definitely helps in that regard as well, in that eliminating some of that human factor, at
Yeah.
least from my perspective.
Yeah. And honestly, definitely the end user benefits from all of this, right? I think
Yeah.
that's the key to like success is
Mhm.
how can we make sure the end users are productive? And if you really think about it, everything's kind of all this explosion in terms of like where people are working and data moving around. It just makes it infinitely harder for service desk and network operations teams. So what we're trying to do is say, hey, let's kind of scale this back down, right?
Mhm.
Maybe it was a lot easier when everybody was, at their desk, and you could say, okay, well, when you're at your desk, I can easily troubleshoot this, but people aren't working that way anymore.
Nope. So Vikas,
Yep.
how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Yes, I'm doing great. Thanks.
Awesome.
This is so much fun. Being out of the trenches for a while, I love to get to see this stuff firsthand. So later in the show, we're going to have a member from our Zscaler Academy team on the show,
Mhm.
and she's going to talk a little bit about how Zscaler Academy is teaching people how to use ZDX and other things as such, right? And but I understand you have a treat for us.
Absolutely. And I'm sure a lot of you would love it. We have a lot of new features, which are basically, an extension to what Rohit just mentioned, is enabling the IT teams and support teams with this AI driven root cause analysis. And something,
Mhm.
a part of that would also be a self service capability. So even before users, open a service desk case. How about users already know that what is the problem they're facing, right? Think of it like while you're on a Zoom call, right? And you have a Wi-Fi issue. You see that notification which says you might be facing a Wi-Fi problem, right? That's a gentle
Mhm.
nudge to the user that my connectivity is something which could be impacted, right? So we have similar thing to show you, a similar innovation which we have on the ZDX side, but on a much more larger scale. So we'll show that in the demo.
Okay. Well, without further ado, let's just dive into it.
Oh, absolutely. Okay.
I mean, why not, right?
Yeah.
Everyone is here for it. They all showed up just for this. At least I am.
all
anyway.
right.
This is happening live, by the way. So
This
there's no
is-
pre-recorded demo. So we're subjected to the demo
Gods.
deities, the demo deities that would be that hopefully everything works as intended. But yeah, let's make it happen.
Absolutely. No, that was much needed, right? So the first component which I would cover is the self-service component, which we just briefly talked about. And what is self-service, right? So it's basically a feature which we have developed, and it's enables users, the end users, to get notifications about possible problems that could be impacting their end user experience, be it Wi-Fi or a process running hot on their CPU, something they have running because of a bug, or because of that process consuming too much memory or CPU. We could let the user know that, hey, this process or maybe this Wi-Fi signal could be impacting your experience, and send them a gentle nudge that, hey, this exactly is the process which is impacting you. So how is that? How does that work, right? From a end user perspective. So pretty straightforward to enable, like a lot of things in ZDX. So you come to administration settings, self-service settings, and basically toggle this button, right? Boom. And the self-service feature is enabled for all of your user base. Now, if you'd like to roll it out in a more, defined fashion, that I want to just deploy it for a certain user group, you can do all that here, right? But what happens when this feature is enabled? So let's go to the dashboard and look at self-service overview. And we have set it to last 2 hours. And what it is doing is it is sending out, basically looking at the data on the user's device, or on multiple different metrics. So what it is showing is, for the last 2 hours, there were no incident notifications which were sent. But when I change it to last 4 hours, I'm seeing very bogged down. A lot of you might be already familiar with that user is having high CPU utilization, right? And let's see what is happening on the user's device, right? So okay,
I'm excited.
So here's the user device. And again, we are logged into the device. We are looking at what's going on. If you see here that there are some historical messages on what Barry has been notified, right? So think of it like, I'm the user, I'm working on it. I get a pop-up notification here that, hey, your CPU is consistently running at 100%. All right. Okay. What do I do about it? Like, what's consuming it? So the user can click on learn more about this issue, right? And they could see in here that a specific process name, in this case, Adobe, or it could be anything else, which is consuming the CPU. And the same notification is sent out to the admin, the ZDX admin right here, that, hey, we sent this notification out to Barry about the CPU utilization he might be facing.
That's awesome. I remember a time back when I was on the IT help desk. I had a certain C-suite, actually the top C-suite person, come to me at my desk, and he says, "Hey, why is my battery constantly draining and my fans are constantly kicking in?" And I look at the activity monitor and I see that he had Google Chrome open, right? And then I look at his Google Chrome and he's got like 5,000 tabs open. And of those 5,000 tabs, he had Yahoo News and all these different news sites, because, CEOs like to stay up to date with what's happening.
Yep.
And all of those sites do what? They embed videos, right, throughout the entire website. And so there was just probably 30 videos playing at any given time. I'm like, well, there's your reason. Like, let's figure out what we can do to try and solve that.
Exactly. No, absolutely. And what I love the most, like, to your point, Ben, right? Like, I as a help desk admin, right? Okay. And just like you, I was in help desk admin when I started my career, right? And it's like, okay, that historical information, that telemetry information, which we have time series data on what was the performance before and after on your fingertips is absolutely amazing, right? So I, as an help desk admin, when Barry's still opened a case that, hey, I'm getting this notification about this process consuming too much CPU. What can I do about IT, right? And I, as an IT help desk, go into the admin console. And if you see this downward trend for Barry, where the performance dipped from green to the red zone, and I see the exact same thing that in this case, Barry's performance degraded once, the CPU utilization was consistently hitting 100%. And I can see that it is a specific process which is causing it.
Wow.
Awesome.
And so you're saying the user would get a notification of this too, right?
Absolutely.
So they're probably going to get a notification before they even think about creating a support ticket. Is that right?
That's 100%. Yep.
So they get a notification that says, "Hey, you have Adobe Premiere that's running at 94.6% of your CPU process consistently over the course of whatever. You might want to consider shutting that down or whatever the case is, right?"
Exactly. Or maybe think of it like, hey, your Wi-Fi performance is not optimal. Maybe try switching to a different Wi-Fi or move closer to your access. Similar things.
That would also help in IT, I mean, because I remember,
Yeah.
With our mesh, right? We might not always have coverage in all the areas of the office, right? And if someone's sitting in a corner of the office and not getting good reception, this would possibly help in identifying that a lot faster than getting a bunch of tickets about slow internet speed.
Yes. And it's very powerful to know as a user that, hey, it's not that website which is slow, it's my Wi-Fi. Right?
Yeah.
It helps a lot. Now, continuing on to the same, innovations which we have done on the AI front is incident dashboard. And this is, again, one of the features I love a lot. It's basically like once you have this feature turned on, we are looking at a lot of telemetry data from your endpoints. So again, to set the base here, you are not configuring any alert rules manually, or you're not going in and tweaking parameters on your alerts, get these incidents out here on the dashboard. So what is it that we are looking at? Hundreds and thousands of telemetry data points from our customer and running these machine learning algorithms on it, trying to understand, are there any problem hotspots, problem areas in the customer environment, which we could bubble up, on the dashboard and give them an area where they could go in, drill down into what is this problem specific to a location, specific to a user base, or what it is. So in this case, when you go to incidents overview dashboard, you're looking at on the top, we have multiple different buckets: device, DNS, Wi-Fi, last mile ISP. And hey, we have Zscaler here, right now showing 0 incidents, but a lot of customers are like, hey, is this problem because of Zscaler? And if it is, we'll show it up here, right? But then in this case, for the last 14 days, we are showing that there were 2 Wi-Fi incidents. And I want to double click on this. This is different than a user facing a problem, which we saw before in the self-service. Incidents focus on a larger problem set, which might be impacting, let's say, your department or a specific location, right? A larger user base. So I come in here and I'm seeing that I had 2 incidents, Wi-Fi incidents, which happened over time. And because of these 2 incidents, there were 11 impacted users. All right, let's dive deeper. On the same page, we have, what is this incident about? And I'm showing that this incident is specific in, happened in Dublin, Ohio location, specific to the 3Com SSID. Now, I as an admin would be interested, like, okay, let me click on one of these incidents, click on the incident details tab. And it takes me directly to that page with more details about what happened in this incident. We are showing very important metrics here, which is the SSID of the access point. And how is this important? Like, as an IT admin, think of it as how much time did it take for me to go from a Wi-Fi problem reported in one of my office locations down to the specific access point where the user could be facing slowness. So I have that access point, I have the score drop over time, and then I have also all of the users which are impacted because of that poorly performing access point. Right.
Wow.
And not just that, I can keep drilling down. I can click on one of these users and see what was, his or her performance look like before and after. So I'm at this user, and, Lucas, and I'm seeing indeed, like I can see that there is a signal, degraded signal strength, and the ZDX score for this user has been in the red category for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful because like at the end of the day, these users, like they may not always, call in and say, hey, I've got trouble, right? They think maybe it'll resolve on its own. And look at how long they've been suffering, right? I think that's pretty powerful that you can see all that history.
Yep. All right. And then, so now that we have been seeing some of the features of, new innovations which we have done, how do we operationalize this? Right. You as an IT admin wouldn't be waiting for these incidents to happen and log into the dashboard and see that, right? So we have done some enhancements like alert rules, which feed these data into ServiceNow. So when these incidents happen, ZDX can go in and open a ServiceNow incident for you, right? It can be an incident related to a network problem. It could be an incident related to a user having poor performance, right? So all of that would come up here. And if I have not mentioned this before, we already have a ServiceNow plugin in the ServiceNow App Store, which you can download in your ServiceNow tenant and do the integration pretty seamlessly, right? This integration is based on APIs. So once that integration is done, the incident starts flowing in. And as a service desk admin, I can go and click on one of those incidents and start seeing details about alert impact. This wasn't there in the previous integration which we had. So whatever I'm showing you today, it's new components, new features developed as a part of this new plugin. So I'm seeing alert impact. What are the impacted departments, geolocations, or ZIA, Zscaler locations, which pertains to this alert? We also are bringing in information about, all right, I have this network alert which got triggered. How many users are impacted by this alert? So we have all of those users listed in as a part of impacted users. And again, while I'm talking through all these new features, again, think of this as a level 1 service desk admin who has all of this information at his fingertips. And the last one, again, this is something that I'm very excited about, is the ZDX summary page. And this is when a user, which is also in the ServiceNow and having ZDX running, opens a service desk ticket that, hey, I'm facing problems with my SharePoint access or email access. Is it my Wi-Fi? What's going on? I don't know. And this level 1 service desk, right, new to his job, is looking at this problem and he agrees that, yes, he's seeing the exact same thing. The users having poor performance across the board, not just SharePoint and Outlook. So from here, I could go in and ask the Y engine, which is one of our AI-driven root cause analysis components, is, can you analyze this score for me and tell me what's going on?
Yeah.
And in the back end, what it is doing is we are going to ZDX, making these API calls, trying to analyze data before and after, when the user's performance was good compared to now, and looking at metrics about device, CPU, memory, network information, and trying to give you a root cause that, okay, what's causing this problem? So let's wait for this to complete and let's see what does the AI tells us about it.
While that's completing, so
Mhm.
this is with ServiceNow, right? And
Mhm.
I know we have a bunch of partners within Zscaler that use other RMM tools. One of which being, the big one, ConnectWise, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
So, are some of these features also included in those other RMM tools with integrations, or are we still kind of exploring which ones to integrate with?
So right now, ZDX can integrate with any of the standards-based incident management systems, right? So anything which could take in a webhook, or an API ingestion, we integrate with all of them, right? But this specific feature set, which I just showed you, is more, ServiceNow,
Mhm.
is more of a ServiceNow implementation. Now, can
Okay.
these other tools make an API call and get this data? Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So the context in here is that I, as a service desk uh, operator, level 1, level 2, whatever, I do not have to log in or need access to the ZDX administrator console to get all of this data. Right?
Oh,
And
nice. Okay.
yeah, and now that I'm seeing that this is a high DNS resolution time, I could now go in and safely, or in a more intelligent manner, route this ticket to, say, uh, IT ops team, the TNS team, the network team, right? So again, think about it, right? Like when I saw this initially, I'm like, okay, what is this? I mean, maybe this is CPU related or Wi-Fi, DNS
Hmm.
related. And the other component, the last one on this one, is the deep tracing. So let's say I, as a service desk admin, would like to gather more data, because this data which I just saw was for the last 2 hours. How about I run an analysis right now on what is happening on the user's device right now? And I could go in, click on deep tracing, and select the user's name, select the application name, and run a deep tracing analysis on the user's device without getting the user on the phone, right? Without bothering that user, I can just run on-demand analysis on the user's device, right? A lot of things to uh, consume for this podcast, but we have another
Yeah.
video goes into all of these into a lot of detail.
Yeah, this
Um,
is awesome. Again, the video for this will be in the show notes.
mhm.
It's a long one, right? But I feel like there's a lot of value here. This podcast in general is just going to be long, so we'll make sure that we have it all broken up into different segments. So
Awesome.
you had a last few moments there to explain a few more things. Vikas?
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
No. Did you
Oh,
have anything more that you wanted to cover?
yes. So I wanted to show one last feature, which is the snapshot component, right? And as the name suggests, a snapshot is basically uh, enabling the IT teams and the help desk or whoever as a ZDX admin to be able to go in and take a point in time, freeze that user's page and share it with other people. So think of it like I, as a service desk admin, went in, did all of this analysis, and I would like to show this specific dip, share this specific dip to my network admin team that, hey, this is what I see. What do you think about it? So I can
Hmm.
go in and click share and, give it a name, say podcast, if I can spell it properly. Right?
That's
And
close enough.
and then I could say, how long do I want this link to be valid for? Say 90 days. I do not want to obfuscate the data on this page. Next. And this is going to create a link, which I will be able to share with, whoever I'd like to. So this basically gives the other people like the power to basically go and click on this link as like, oh, this is what he's talking about. Let me take this further. So what do you think, Ben?
Okay. I mean, this is amazing. Like I genuinely think this is amazing, and I think you just showing me this I wish I had this tool when I was an IT admin, right?
Yeah.
I wish I had tools like this because it just makes your job much more satisfying. We're all
Mhm.
employees at the end of the day, right? And from an IT admin perspective, or just any position out there, one of the questions that they always get on their little yearly surveys is, do you have the tools and the resources to be able to do your job well? And I think that this particular application, if I was still an IT admin and I had access to this, I'd be like, yeah, this is satisfying to be able to have that level of root cause analysis right at my fingertips to be able to quickly and efficiently find the answer to a problem and then rectify it. I'm not running around, trying to figure out answers and, rebooting the computer 50 times and
I almost
throwing something
forgot
against
about
the
that.
wall. Yeah, throwing us, let's try this, gotta reboot. Let's try this, gotta reboot.
Right.
Like that's just, if we can figure out an isolated issue a lot faster with certain things, that's gonna really be hugely helpful. So thanks, Rohit, Vikas, so much for coming on and showing us what you're working with. Um Again, this video with all the demo, that's gonna be cut out of the podcast, and that's going to be a standalone video that's going to live on the community as well. So anybody who wants to go and look at the video portion of this segment, I'll have a link in the show notes for that. Yeah, thanks so much, guys, for coming on.
No,
Appreciate it.
thanks for having
Yeah.
us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. One quick thought though is like, just to sum it up, in 6 months, look at all the amazing enhancements we've done. And, every now and then, keep an eye out for ZDX because we're constantly innovating.
Cool. All right. Now we're going to shift gears. We're going to head over to our Academy Pulse, which is a new segment here on the Zscaler Pulse, which I'm super excited about. I'm excited about everything, really, but it's always awesome to bring in new people and new faces. So I'm joined today by Katie Schmidt, who is our Senior Manager of Certifications with Zscaler Academy. And she wants to talk a little bit about, one, what is Zscaler Academy? Why is it important and why is it cool and something that you should probably go and look at, as well as a couple other things around certifications that we have. Hi, Katie. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Ben. Thanks so much for having me on today. Appreciate it.
Of course, of course. And you haven't been on the show before, and we have spoken about Zscaler Academy on the community on a few different posts. All the certifications that are out there, we used to have a certification round robin where we celebrated all the community members who got certified in the previous month. We're going to get back to that, by the way. Just haven't had time to go in and find all the names and get everything going because we've also had an influx of how certifications are working. So now that that's starting to be getting more better cadence, we'll get back into that. So I promise you that. But
Yeah, sounds good. We have some campaigns coming up related to that, so we'll talk about that too.
Awesome. So what is exactly the Zscaler Academy? Obviously, you can probably put two and two together. It's probably our learning portal, but a little bit more of a strategy talk there as to what it's for and what it's valued.
Sure. So I would say, first of all, the Zscaler Academy, much like Zscaler, is growing rapidly. It's really starting to take flight, and we are doing even more things to meet our customers' needs and engage people in Zscaler. And the way we do that is obviously through our training and education, which is Zscaler Academy. And then what that leads to now, what we're growing, is this certification offering, which is what I lead. And I mean, the importance of it, obviously, I had a great leader one time that said in software, like, the software is only as good, or the service is only as good as the people who can use it. And you see that in everyday life all the time, right? Like how people use social media, how they use LinkedIn, how they use things in their everyday life related to technology. And if you want to have a really strong technology company and offer that, you've got to have people trained that really become practitioners in how to use it. And you want to make that easy, you want to make it engaging and fun and all of those things. And so I think that is really the ultimate mission and purpose of Zscaler Academy, is to get people using it and using it well, really maximizing that for their organization, but then also going along with them in that professional, like, career journey I'm really passionate about that. That's why I work in certifications, just because if you can learn things and then prove that you can do them, it can really elevate like where you're going in your career and what you're able to personally accomplish. So I feel like there's a real balance between, that training certification providing support to not only organizations and our customers, but also to that personal person on their journey for their career.
Yeah, I don't know what the phrase actually says, but I know if it's when you stop learning, then you stop living, basically, right? And so you always want to continue to keep learning. But from a career perspective, always learning something, even if it's not in your wheelhouse, right? Even if it's not something that you're currently actively doing, but just learning about it and figuring out, at least from a basic understanding of how things work, I found I've always go along. I'm not a programmer or developer by any stretch of the imagination, but I have a very basic understanding around API and some coding and that kind of stuff, just the way I know what people are talking about when they bring it up in conversation. So
Yeah, for sure. I kind of sit in that same group as well. And
yeah,
over the course of my career, I've just seen it be very successful that if you can get people in, like in the door, say with Zscaler Academy, they become more curious. And like curiosity is really what drives what you're talking about, like being able to speak the language, learning new things, and moving it forward.
and from an organizational standpoint, right? When you think about onboarding of new employees, right? Whether you're a partner, MSP, and you have new, help desk or network engineers, or you're a, direct customer that brings in new help desk people. Now you actually have a body of knowledge, right, from Zscaler given to you to help onboard your new hires and get them up to speed a lot faster on that ramp up period. Have you heard your customers, or not customers, but your students say something around those effects?
Yes, absolutely. And that is what we're trying to provide through some of the things that we've developed this year. Zscaler Academy has gone through a big change. I think we're going to continue to see some of that change roll out because we are trying to meet customer needs. So we heard customers and people that are interested in Zscaler Academy telling us what they needed. So that was actually how what I would consider to be like kind of a flagship course of this year came to be, which is Zscaler for Users Essentials. So that's a course where you can take that course. It gives you everything kind of you need to know about Zscaler, how to deploy, how to implement, and really admin Zscaler, and then be able to go on, take some hands-on labs, which I think are so important, like just in the technical space, because anyone can, sit through an e-learning or go to a course. But then when you actually are like forced to apply that and work through it, that's really where the real learning and like that's where it really happens. And then, for me, like I was able to develop the Zscaler Digital Transformation Administrator certification, and it aligns to that course. It's not a one-to-one because there's obviously that practitioner piece and being able to have the hands-on experience and knowledge, but it does align to like what we teach in the course and hopefully what we do in the labs as well. And then I see the Academy continuing to grow in that way. We've got the other course that we launched is the Zscaler for Users Advanced course. And that came out in August. It's starting to get quite a bit of traction, and it's just taking a deeper dive. And that too will soon have a certification that hopefully aligns to it. And that'll be coming out at the end of our Q2. So we have like this roadmap of starting to build these things and answer, the call basically from our customers of what's needed and what's wanted. Everyone goes crazy for certifications, and that makes my job kind of easy in some ways because people are really engaged and want to earn those things. And I feel like my personal mission here at Zscaler is to bring our certifications up to that industry standard to be recognized with the likes of Snowflake, AWS, Cisco, all the big ones. I've kind of built my career building certification programs for really meaningful technology. And that's what I hope to be able to do here at Zscaler as well.
When you see people on LinkedIn and you see, AWS, solutions architect or Cisco certified or whatever, those carry weight, right? When it comes to certain positions. And I personally would love to see, Zscaler certifications within that same swim lane as you see with AWS and Cisco and stuff like that. So that's amazing. Who can become certified? Do you have to be a customer? Do you have to be a partner? Who can register and sign up and get Zscaler certified?
Yeah, so we've actually got, a couple of different groups per se. So we've got our customers, obviously, very important, getting them certified, and then also our partners. And then we're also launching, I don't know if you're familiar with the ZAP program or if they've come on and talked about it before, but that's our college higher education alliance program that's being built out. It's being built right now. And we will have a lot of students and professors coming in and getting certified as well. So we've really got all of those groups. And then, not to forget our internal people. We need to drink our own Kool-Aid. So we need our internal people to get certified as well. And know, like, what is the customer experience? What are, people outside of Zscaler seeing and getting when they're coming through training and certification? We've had a lot of success with getting internal people certified. Like ZDTA just launched in the beginning of September. We've had huge engagement internally and externally as well. And we're just going to continue that momentum and then continue to offer things that are really meaningful for people. And then I've got another program coming out next year, which is going to be more micro credentials, and it'll focus on some of the things I think you guys have talked about with other folks before, like workloads, data protection, things like that. So people will be able to earn some easier, low-hanging fruit micro credentials through that. But really, certifications is to help people drive their organization to success. It also gives our customers some insurance, right?
Yep.
So if they're going to hire somebody who's certified, they know that they've gone through these things, and we publicize like what people have to do to get the certification. So if you go out and start looking for, people who are certified in Zscaler, then hopefully you have some assurance as a customer that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest compliments in certification ever is when I start to see job postings and they start to include like Zscaler certified.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when I know we've made it, and we're getting closer to that. So.
And of course, as our customer base expands and more logos come in board, and you get more and more job opportunities and openings, that Zscaler certification is going to really be, crucial in those organizations scaling, right? Being able to bring in professionals that know what they're doing and can ramp up really fast, and we give them all the tools to do so. That is super awesome. I actually need to go and get ZDTA certified myself. So it's
Okay, let's do it. Well, it is actually free to everyone through the end of this calendar year. So if you've done the course, you've done the labs, those are prereqs. So it's important to do those. And then you can go take the certification. It is the first third-party proctored best practice exam that Zscaler's ever offered. And we'll continue to do that. I could do a whole other podcast on what happens behind the scenes to deliver a technical certification to market.
I bet.
But we're going to have, that going on. So I encourage people to go out. You don't even need a promo code. You can just go through the academy, take the course and labs. It'll pop you over to our third-party vendor that delivers and proctors the exam. You don't need a code. You can just sign up and take it. And we're running that through the end of this calendar year. And then, of course, it'll have an associated fee, more like what you would see in the market as far as retail price for certifications.
Okay. And so when you say free to end the calendar, I believe this podcast will probably come out end of November, beginning of December. So as long as they register for the course by the end of the year, is that correct? And they'll be able to.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure that we're not missing that bus, because that would have been whoopsies. But
yeah,
so that's great.
No, we definitely want. Yeah, when this comes out, we'll want them to get in the course and lab and then go take the exam.
The lab is super cool too. So, Katie, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about Zscaler Academy. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we wrap up this segment?
I mean, I would just say for people to keep a pulse on the academy, I know, no pun intended there, but to jump in and really get involved and keep up with it. We'll try to keep everyone, informed in the community, but there is some really cool stuff happening. And I would say going into the next calendar year, you're just going to continue to see that growth of what we're offering and what we have out there, and the Zscaler brand just continuing to grow and get that follow.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much. Katie, for coming on. All right, that wraps up the Zscaler Pulse for November 2023. And we met with Rohit and Vikas and had an awesome conversation surrounding AI enhancements within ZDX. And we also met with Katie and learned more about Zscaler Academy. Make sure to check the show notes for links to other videos and resources discussed during the show today. And we'll be back here next month or maybe closer to January with the next episode. Take care, and we look forward to seeing you in the community.